Okay, thank you all for your patience. We apologize for getting a little bit of a late start. We are now reconvened out of closed session. And so if you would all please stand so that you can join us in the flag salute. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. This evening, we do have some members of our community wishing to speak during the time of public testimony. If I find the right glasses. During meetings of the Board of Trustees, members of the public have an opportunity to comment on items that appear on the agenda of regular or special meetings, or items that do not appear on the agenda but are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board of regular meetings only. Individual speakers shall be allowed 3 minutes to address the board on each agenda or non-agenda item. The board shall limit the total time for public input on each item to 20 minutes. Speakers may not yield or donate any of their speaking time to another speaker. With board consent, the president may increase or decrease the time allowed for public presentation, depending on the topic and the number of persons wishing to be heard. The president may take a poll of speakers for or against a particular issue and may ask that additional persons speak only if they have something new to add. The board shall not prohibit public criticism of the policies, procedures, programs, or services of the district, or of the acts or omissions of the board. Speakers are informed that the opportunity to address the board does not confer any privilege or protection for expression beyond that otherwise provided by law. And the public is aware, should be aware that the public session of this meeting is being recorded and or broadcasted. And so we have a number of persons wishing to speak. First up, April Morris.
Good evening, Mrs. Kakish, board members, and all present. I come here speaking on behalf of myself and staff members of the Special Education Department. Our department has been severely understaffed, felt extremely undersupported, and overall ignored. As a parent in this school district, I'm disgusted. I expect the staff I leave my student with each day to have significant training, support, and especially safety. Unfortunately, this is not the case for the department I work in. The administration team at the high school this year has been very weak and indecisive in dealing with many issues. Myself and numerous colleagues have brought this to the attention of members of the administration as well as special education department throughout the school year. We feel abused, neglected, hurt, and worthless. There have been many factors that have contributed to those feelings, including but not limited to administration brushing aside our concerns, observations concerning students and staffing. Many of us, myself included, have been scratched, spit on, kicked, punched, slapped, groped, pushed, grabbed, licked, and overall been violated, which has left us feeling, again, worthless and abused. We care deeply for our students and love our jobs. However, we do not feel like we have been given all of the tools including the support, staffing, training, and collaboration time we should have been offered this year. Many staff have been physically injured, beaten up, and overlooked. We are blatantly being taken complete advantage of. These things happen regularly. For example, yesterday we started summer school at the high school. Support staff were not given our classroom assignments until Friday, which was a non-contract date, and we were only given that information if we attended a last-minute ESY training for a couple of hours of extra duty. This did not allow us time to learn anything about students we would be expected to support throughout any academic or behavioral issues. We were expected to report to work Monday morning, many of us not knowing much, if anything, about any of the students we would be supporting. Some staff working out of classification, meaning they did not have proper training to deal with some behaviors that may arise in the classrooms. In the classroom next to mine, I personally heard a commotion. One of the students had escalated, yelling, throwing.
Okay. Are you close to finishing?
I have 2 more paragraphs.
Please go ahead.
Okay. I heard a commotion. One of the students had escalated, yelling, throwing items, tipping over tables. Unfortunately, only 2 out of the 3 support staff working in that classroom at the time were properly trained to deal with such behaviors. They got the student to go outside the classroom for a break, which took several minutes, while he screamed and engaged in self-injurious behavior. Staff were able to calm the student and get him to return to the classroom. One of the staff still needed to take their lunch break, so I stayed to cover for them. After the staff left, the student re-escalated. None of us were given access to any behavior documents or other supports for the student, nor any other student in the classroom beyond basic IEP goals. None of us knew specific triggers or previously successful calming strategies for the student. We did the best we could, given the circumstance, and once again, were unable to avoid any peer, we were able to avoid peers being injured. We got the student outside for a break again. He yelled and engaged in self-injurious behavior, during which time I again got spat on and scratched. When I went to get my scratches cleaned up, I was informed by the health office that the only treatment available would be alcohol wipes and wrapping the wounds. They said that peroxide was no longer allowed to be used at the district, so they had to put alcohol on my wounds. When I asked about writing an incident report, I was told to put it in behavior tracking. There has to be more accountability for student actions than this. Especially site administration, once again, tried to sweep an incident under the rug, dismissing my suffering, minimizing the fact that proper front-loading and instruction was not provided to ensure all essential items and knowledge were available to staff to provide proper supports to our students. I'm tired of being blatantly taken advantage of. I'm tired of being abused. I'm tired of being hurt. I'm tired of being ignored. We do not deserve to be treated like this. Our students do not deserve to be treated like this. We are important and we should be heard, supported, and made to feel of value. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Morris. Scotty and Jan Stewart.
Good evening. My name is Scotty Stewart. This is my husband, John. And we're here because we are very concerned with not just our child's safety, but all of the children in the district following the massacre that took place in Texas. I want to discuss the district statement on the Texas tragedy. As a parent reading this, after 19 children were just slaughtered and 2 teachers, I had a really hard time with this one. It says, today, in light of yesterday's event, extra patrols were around our school campuses to reassure our staff, students, parents, and community that the Beaumont Police Department and Beaumont Unified School District have a shared commitment to keeping our school safe, our community safe. My question is, what about the day after that? What about when school starts again? You see, one day isn't good enough. What we're doing is not good enough as a country, and something needs to change. Maybe that starts here with our schools. But I know there's a magnitude of security measures we can put into place, whether that be panic buttons, metal detectors, armed guards at our doors. But seeing this was very disturbing. I had questions. How long were these officers at my kids' school? Were they there for 30 minutes? Were they there for the whole 6 hours? Did they get out of their patrol cars, or did they simply drive by? It's a gray area, and it just needs to stop being avoided. And I think that if we are proactive instead of reactive, obviously our outcomes will be much better.
Okay, thank you. The next speakers are all speaking on the issue of transportation. So we would limit this to a total of 20 minutes. Laura Wallace.
Good evening, Mrs. Kakish, Board of Trustees, Cabinet, and fellow community. Rather than having each member of the department share for few words, we wanted to be courteous of your time and collaborate on a unified statement to shine a light on recent events revolving around the transportation reorganization and why our department voted it down last week, specifically Article 9. My name is Laura Wallace, and I have been a school bus driver for 16 years, the past 4 years here with Beaumont Unified. Nowhere near the top of the seniority list, as we have many drivers who have been with us for 10, 15, and even more than 20 years. Our concern with Article 9 is the absence of language pertaining to the already practiced procedures of seniority bidding for bus routes and field trips. While researching neighboring public and private sectors of bus transportation agencies, we have found seniority bidding to be a common practice across the board. Seniority bidding is a valuable asset when working with our students, their parents, and their teachers. Many of our students have IEPs, and since school bus drivers are not permitted to be part of the IEP panel, parents feel comfortable sharing confidential information pertaining to their child's needs with the regular driver they have built a relationship with year after year. This information allows the driver to provide the best service to the student by adjusting seating arrangements, the order in which a student boards the bus, and in many cases providing a toy or comfort aid to the student so they feel safe and excited to ride the bus to and from school. Not to mention the consistency our students require for their mental and emotional state. Transparency has become the practice of Beaumont Unified School District while under our new leadership, and it has been a breath of fresh air. The trust between the classified employees and the administration team has slowly started to mend itself. The transportation team was very excited to see the completed version of the proposed reorganization agreement. We greatly appreciate all the hard work both CSEA and the district has put into the proposal and its research. We love how each member of the transportation team has a job description. The pay scales and job responsibilities are crystal clear. The reorganization was beautifully written, and if we could have, we would have voted the reorganization in, hands down. However, by accepting this well-written and researched package, we would have to be willing to give up our relationships with the students, parents, and teachers we have worked with for many years. After all, shouldn't a department already have job descriptions
Okay.
and pay scales? So what are we really receiving?
Okay, do you have someone who is going to pick up the rest of this
Yes.
commentary? Is this Amanda English?
Sorry, gotta find out where she left off. However, by accepting this well-written and researched package, we would have to be willing to give up our relationships with our students, our parents, and our teachers that we have worked with for many years. After all, shouldn't a department already have job descriptions and pay scales? So what are we really receiving? We feel that by attaching the Article 9, the district is telling us that they don't care how long we stay part of the Beaumont Unified School District. The relationships our drivers have built within our community, they don't matter. Isn't that contradictory to our mission statement, a shared commitment among home, school, and community? Furthermore, since transportation is the first department to be reorganized, is the district going to tell all of the classified departments that seniority is no longer relevant? Are we really that disposable? We believe our loyalty to the district and community deserve respect by continuing to give us the opportunity to bid on our routes and trips based on seniority. We greatly appreciate your time and your careful consideration as you guys deliberate this.
Thank you. Lepsy Rivera?
Good afternoon to everybody. My name is Debsy Rivera. I'm here speaking for Transportation Department. I have a question for you guys. Let's change the situation. You're the driver, and I'm the mom of one of the students. If it comes and tells me, oh, the bus driver tells me this and that, how do you guys feel? How would you guys?
Yeah, the board's not permitted to respond. This public testimony, and we're here to
Okay.
listen to you.
Well, the situation that we all have right now is trying to preserve what we have with these kids. And I'm not saying you guys, but we are underestimate the power we have. Some kids, sometimes they don't have a touch of love. Sometimes parents are like, okay, get in the bus. Because that's what I've been seeing every year after year. We become their best friend. Sometimes we become psychologists. Sometimes we become part moms. There's things that they confess to us. I send it to my boss, and I explain to her what happened. I write a little incident or whatever they said, so that keeps confidence and something happens and later on. Our thing is, we are defending transportation. We're not disposable like Ms. Amanda said. We are worth it. And for us not to be recognized, especially for the people who's been here for 15, 20 years, and that's not fair. And that's what I'm voting for. We need to respect, as everybody gets it, we deserve it too, because we are representing all of you guys. All Beaumont District, we are representing them, driving those buses every day safely from the yard to the school, to the homes, and back. Safety is our main thing. So all we need is for you guys to think. We need you guys to be in our team too. That's all.
Thank you, Ms. Rivera. Sarah Zamora?
Good evening, everybody. I am Sarah Zamora, and I work in transportation. And I think that Article 9 is kind of a little bit of a slap in the face when it comes to the seniority in the bidding. Like previous, they're talking about how we establish these relationships with these kids, either it's SPED or general ed, but they look forward to their bus driver. They look forward to be able to see them every school year if it's possible. And when this happens, and you have drivers switching out with, different drivers and for picking up the different kids, we don't know their triggers. We don't know what gets them on the bus, what gets them off the bus. We don't know anything like that when we're switched around or just handed something to do just because it's able to do it. So I think it's really important that, especially the drivers that have been here for a very long time, the seniority is very important. A lot of our drivers who've been here for over 10 years, 20 years, established relationships with kids since they were in kindergarten and moved along and got to see them. And I think it's really important that we talk about how we need to have our kids with consistency and all this, make sure that they're safe and they're comfortable. But when we switch their drivers every year or every so often how they want to do it, their kids are the ones that are going to suffer at the end of it. So I would really appreciate you guys overthink that part and just think about the kids as well as the drivers and the ones that have been here for more over 20 years. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Ms. Zamora. Margaret Alvarez?
Good evening, board members. My name is Margaret Alvarez, and I've been with Transportation going on 6 years. And I just wanted to talk about Article 9. I'm a field trip driver, and this month, in the month of May, was heavy for us because we're short drivers. Late nights, next day being home. And the way we bid on our field trips is by seniority. And my understanding is the way you want to do is just give the field trips out. It's hard for some of our drivers because some of our drivers have kids, have elderly people they're taking care of, and the hours coming home late at night. So it would be difficult to do that because some of us on rotation, we pick what fits us, and we all work together as a team to get it done for the district. And we've been doing it all this time. So seniority is a big part in that. So if you give somebody a trip that doesn't have that qualification as a mountain driver, as I am a mountain driver, and you give it to them, it puts the district at risk for accident. And our job is to keep these kids safe to and from every field trip to LA, to San Diego, to the mountains, to Disneyland, to Knox. So I want you guys to think about that too. And put in another driver in the SPED that doesn't even drive a transit bus on a school year, you're putting everybody in liability. I know we're qualified for it, but some of those drivers won't drive it because they don't feel comfortable. And you have to feel comfortable as a driver to drive that bus. You gotta know those angles. So seniority is a big part in our routes and picking those routes every year because we know what we can do as a driver. If you give me a route and if I'm been in a SPED bus for so many years and then you put me in a transit, it's not gonna go well. You gotta know those corners. You gotta know how to maneuver that bus. It's a liability. So seniority is a big part, and I would greatly appreciate it if you guys can take all that in consideration. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Alvarez. Darlene Rodriguez?
Good evening, Ms. McKeish and Superintendent McKeish and board members. My name is Darlene, and I have been driving for Beaumont for 22 years. And what I understand in the new contract is that, yes, seniority is no longer relevant except for the event of layoffs. And someone's already made this statement, but I feel like that's a slap in the face. I've come through the ranks. People before me were senior, and it just feels unappreciated. Also, what Margaret was kind of explaining about, if I could reiterate about the field trip bidding, we are a small team, and we have a big job, and it's really a privilege. And it's a great accomplishment from the beginning of the year till the end. What we do is with school field trips and also our wonderful and great sports teams. it takes a family almost to do this. I know it's our job, but a lot of times where it looks impossible, you have a transportation department that's extraordinary, that it really matters that we get it done, and if somebody has to sacrifice or help someone else mix it up, we do it within the department. And from what I understand with assignments on field trips, I've been doing this, like I said, a lot of years. I wasn't ever informed how exactly that's going to work, and like we've explained before, that doesn't happen in other districts. It goes by seniority. I don't foresee that going smooth, and I've been doing field trips for a lot of years. So I would like to ask the board if they would consider, don't want to call us experts because we're not, but we're experienced in that. Or someone could explain to us how exactly that's supposed to work. From where I sit, from where I drive, when I come in the morning, I don't see that going smooth. So that's basically what I wanted to address, was the field trips and also the seniority. And I thank you guys for all your hard work, and I thank you so much for the contract. And I know it's been a long time, and so it was really heartbreaking to, I voted a no because of this stuff, but I do appreciate all your hard work. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rodriguez. Lisa Arizaga.
Good evening, Board. I'm Lisa Arizaga. I've been with this district for 25 years, driving a school bus, and I just want to say that seniority should mean something. I mean, I've been here giving my hard work, my dedication to the district, and I agree with all my coworkers that the field trips, we should do it by seniority, and we deserve to be recognized. We deserve to be recognized for 25 years of hard work. So, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Arizaga. Okay. That concludes public testimony. Okay. So moving on with our agenda is the consent agenda. Is there any item that a member of the board wishes to pull for separate consideration?
I would like to consider pulling 9.3, travel request.
Okay. I hear conversation, but I don't. Oh, I'm sorry. We'll get back to that. Let's go ahead with the consent agenda. Okay. Do I have a motion to pull aside item 9.3 and approve the remainder of the consent agenda?
I move that we pull 9.3 and approve 9.1, 9.2, and then 9.4 through 9.8.
Okay, let's vote on that motion. The motion was approved with 5 yes votes. So let's go back up to item 8.1, which is a report out of closed session. We'll come back to that as an item pulled because now it's a
She was
it's
asking a
renumbered.
question about what number was pulled.
9.3 was pulled.
Okay, so we're going to go to, okay, never mind, I'm good. In closed session was moved by Susie Lara and seconded by myself, Janelle Poulter, to appoint Joel Hidek to the position of elementary principal, effective date to be determined. The vote was unanimous in favor of the appointment.
President Hovey, members of the board, Superintendent Kakish, cabinet, colleagues, and guests. We are happy to announce the appointment of Mr. Joel Huddick to the position of elementary principal at Brookside Elementary School. Joel has been a member of the Beaumont Unified School District team since becoming an assistant principal of Beaumont High School in August of 2018. Prior to joining our team, Joel worked in the positions of assistant principal, athletic director, and teacher at Bonita Unified School District. Joel earned his Bachelor of Science in Child Development and a minor in Sociology at San Diego State University, and his Master's of Arts in Curriculum and Instruction from the University of Redlands. Please join us in welcoming Joel to his new position of elementary principal at Brookside Elementary School.
Good evening, Board President Steve Hovey, board members, Ms. Superintendent Mays Kakish, and cabinet members, BFC employees, and community members. My name is Joel Huddick, and I am both humble and grateful for the experiences and opportunities that Beaumont has provided for myself. I am excited about the next chapter of my professional career and being awarded the opportunity to continue forward with the team at Brookside Elementary School. I cannot thank the Beaumont High School staff, the administration team, Beaumont team members, my wife Brittany, and my two girls in the back there, my supporting family members and friends for always supporting me and keeping me grounded. I am eagerly looking forward to supporting the team at Brookside Elementary as we continue to support all students at Brookside. Thank you for this opportunity.
Item 8.2, receive a report from the superintendent and review the district calendar for the months of June, July, and August. Summer over already? It just started getting hot.
Good evening, everyone. Well, we made it to the end of the school year. Not summer school, but the regular school year. We had the graduation for Glenview 21st Century Learning Institute on Wednesday last week, and Beaumont High School on Thursday. In total, we had 761 graduates between the two schools. Cherry Festival Parade. On Saturday, June 4th, our Board of Trustees, myself, several of our Beaumont USD team members from our Instruction and Support Services Division and Maintenance and Operation and Transportation Department participated in the Cherry Festival Parade. And it was my first time attending that event. It was a beautiful event, beautiful day to begin with the weather really adding the cherry on top, in my opinion. The Beaumont Cherry Valley Rotary Club plans and organizes this wonderful event, so we're so thankful for all their hard work on this and their partners. Instructional Support Services Division float ended up winning the best float. I know there's a debate on it, who got the actual trophy, but we received a notification that they had first place. And it was a beautiful float. It's the one with the blue and orange balloons, as you see. On to Lucy Arnaz Award. Congratulations to Karen Hochschild and her Beaumont High School Theater Arts students for winning Lucy Arnaz Award for outstanding choreography for their production of Footloose. In addition, Anika Wright won the award for leading actress in the entire Inland Empire and Coachella Valley. So she moves on to the National Musical Theater Competition for high schools called the Jimmy Awards in New York City. So Anika gets all trip paid for, all expenses, and housed in the prestigious Juilliard School of Music campus for 7 days. What a great honor and experience for our students. Best wishes, Anika. And the reason why we picked 3 months, it's because the summer is going to go by so fast, and we wanted everyone to know some of the plans as we approach the beginning of our school year, new school year. So the rest of June, as you know, yesterday we started the extended school year, and today the summer school started. The graduation for both will be on July 1st. Summer meal program began yesterday also at Beaumont High School, Anahaz Elementary, and Palm Innovation Academy. Tomorrow we'll be holding a special board meeting for the superintendent evaluation. On Monday, June 20th, we
She
have...
skipped over that pretty quickly.
I actually emphasized it. On Monday, June 20th, we have a non-student day. On Monday, July 4th, we will honor holiday for 4th of July. On Tuesday, July 19th, we'll have our regular business meeting, board meeting. On the 21st and the 22nd of July, we will be holding our leadership symposium, our entire leadership team, to get us into the framework for 22-23 school year. On Friday, July 29th, our summer meal program at Beaumont High School in Anahaz and Palm will end. August 8, 9, and 10, we will have mandatory training for our campus security staff. August 10th, we will be holding our professional development day for all employees, including a welcome back for our staff in the morning. Thursday, August 11th, first day of school of 22-23 school year. It's gonna be here before we know it. And that's it for the calendar. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for letting us take a look at the next few months and knowing when school starts up again.
11th?
Yep, August 11th. All right, so we... 9.3. Yeah. Now we would go to item 10 point...
9.3.
Well, it's not
It's
9.3
10.3 now.
anymore. It's changed to become
Items
10.1 or 10.0 as the item pulled from consent, which was formerly 9.3. So anybody want to write that down? Because it's 9.3. So we pulled that, and so what?
The recommendation is to approve California Baptist University travel request, San Diego State University travel request, and the Legacy Woodworking Missionary travel request.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion about approving those out-of-state trips? Then we'll vote.
Those aren't necessarily out of state.
Overnight?
Overnight or out of
Overnight.
state.
Okay.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay, the motion was approved unanimously with 5 yes votes. So now we're back on track with section 11, special legal and discussion items. 11.1, receive a presentation and adopt resolution 2021-22-46, authorizing the issuance of its 2022 special tax bonds in improvement area number 1. Mrs. Harbauer.
Good evening, President Hovey, Superintendent Kakish, members of the board, cabinet, colleagues, and community. I would like to invite up Adam Bauer, who is the Chief Executive Officer for Philbin Roll-Up and Associates, and he's here tonight to present to you the presentation on considering the CFD number 2020-1, improvement area number 1.
Great. Thank you. Great, thank you. If we could, I'll turn to the next slide. So on our first slide, we just give a basic market update, and I've done this many times with you. What you're going to notice is to the far right, you're seeing that pretty large increase in rates. That's what we saw the first quarter of 2022, and in the last few weeks, that's tapered off. I suspect in the near future, when I do market updates, there'll be large increases and large decreases. The information moves so quickly now that information like when the Fed makes a move, I get 3 instant message, or whatever you call them, messages from news agencies saying that second it happened. Whereas at least before I had to walk over and look at the computer and see that it happened, now it just happens instantaneously. But that happens everywhere. So when the Fed says they're going to increase rates and there's some inflation, you see those rates go up dramatically. I'm going to put that in perspective in a moment. But what these two charts hopefully display to you is that rates have increased in the first quarter of 2022 pretty substantially, but they have tapered off. So to put this in perspective, that chart there with the light blue bars and the red line, the light blue bars represent the range of interest rates for each one of those maturities going back to 2005. And you're probably noticing that red line is approximately in the middle of those. And that means for that period of time, rates are about average. That period of time is considered a low interest rate period. So we are about average in a low interest rate period. Now to the far right is another chart I've shown you many times, and the majority of these bonds are bought by municipal mutual funds. And when there's a green bar, that means money's flowing in, and when there's a red bar, money's flowing out. And I'm happy to report last Wednesday, we had 11 weeks of outflows, so I was a little nervous. And then last week we had inflows come in, so it's kind of stopped. These things generally go in trends for a period of time, so hopefully we'll continue to have inflows. These are the demand for our bonds. And so now getting away from the macro and getting to the micro, CFD number 2020-1, Improvement Area 1, started out as CFD 2018-1, Improvement Area 2, and the developer came and we worked with them to amend it. We have a not to exceed amount of $6 million. We will not achieve that. That was intentionally set high to make sure that that wasn't our limiting factor in the future. If we drop down there to the bottom, we talk about the development categories. And in the CFD, or in this improvement area, we expect to have 222 units. One of the things I've talked to you a lot about is building permit issuance is important because that triggers developed property. What we realized with your CFD 2018-1, Improvement Area 1, was one of the first ones we discovered something. And as if you go back to about 2008 or so, the builders were pulling permits in small quantities, call it 5 to 15, and then they would sell those. And they'd come and do a 5 or 15, then they would sell them. So we almost didn't even have to ask the question about home closings because they kind of happened in sequence like this. With your 2018-1 Improvement Area 1, what we realized there was the developers were now saying, we'll pull 100 permits and we won't sell any until we're done. And then we'll pull another 50 before we sold those 100. So now they have 150 building permits out there without any closed homes. We waited on that one until they got closings, and then now this one has both the home closings and the building permit issuances. In this case, we have 71% of the permits or the units with home closings, and generally that's a very well-developed CFD. This is a dated picture, or else it looks like there wouldn't be many home closings at this point because this does have a lot more updated development, but wanted to give you a general idea of the region and the schools that the students would attend with the current boundaries. On this side, we have a lot of numbers, but our takeaway is the amount of funds available to the district. With the current projections, we're just under 2.9. And then to the far right, what we show you is that revenue is about 10% more than the admin and the principal and interest in the bonds. And this is exactly what we're sizing. So that's our goal, is to have that set up that way. We have some good faith estimates here. These are a requirement that certain numbers are disclosed to the board. And in this case, we have it set up that I would go through them with you here. As you can see there, the original issue discount's about $50 million, and that along with the par of 3.6. We have a true interest cost of 4.85, and our cost of issuance and underwriter's discount are 275 approximate. We have capitalized interest at 290. And then we have a total repayment on the 3.6 of about $7 million. We'll come back to you with final numbers, but these are the good faith estimates as of your agenda deadline. Finally, here's our schedule. We are in good shape. We had a call last Friday. We are ready to send that preliminary official statement or that disclosure document to investors. And then that will hopefully allow us to be in the market on or around June 15th. Then we'll close the transaction June 30th. And that's when the district has those funds available to them. So on this one, everything's gone exactly as since it's been amended, everything's gone exactly as it should. The developers moved along with the project, and once that they had enough closings, we worked towards bringing this to you for consideration. And I'm available for any questions.
Okay. Do we have a motion to adopt Resolution 21-22-46.
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, are there any questions or comments? We'll proceed to the vote.
David moved. Chanel second.
Motion passed with 5 yes votes. Thank you, Mr. Bauer. And just, if you were trying to follow that in the audience, the board has had these materials since last week to review these materials, so we've already read all of the documents and the attachments. Next is adoption of 2021-22-47, approving wire transfer of funds for Beaumont Unified School District's Community Facilities District number 2020-1, Improvement Area number 1.
I'll move the recommended item.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion or questions? We'll proceed to the vote on 11.2. The motion is passed with 5 yes votes. Thank you, Mr. Bauer. Get us a good rate. 11.3, receive a report and conduct a public hearing on the 2021-2022 local indicators to be included on the fall California school dashboard. And so we will open the public hearing at 7:02. Is there any presentation associated with this? No?
Yes, there is,
Yes?
I think.
Oh.
We're on the,
Okay. Dr. Blasey?
It's just a report. So I can explain the report so that the public knows. So good evening. The California Dashboard Local Indicators is attached to the California CAS, the California Assessment for Student Performance and Progress, the CASP, the state test that we had the privilege of taking at the end of the school year. And most of that information is offered by giving that data that goes to the California dashboard. However, every school district in the state of California also has to respond to the priorities that are listed before you. And those priorities are priority 1, basic teachers, instructional materials and facilities. Priority 2, implementation of academic standards, parent and family engagement, priority 3, local climate survey, priority 6, and then access to a broad course of study, priority 7. The priority 4 and 5 are not considered part of those indicators. So basically, we survey and we have asked questions about what does the community, meaning the staff, principals, and the directors think, where are we on these indicators? And then we actually write this in on the dashboard in October. And that report that you received, that looks like the local performance indicator, self-reflection. It's a self-reflection of where we are today.
I had a question on it.
me too.
My question was related to the in the pages, like for example, I think page 12. It was in different areas. I noticed where
I
it's-
apologize. If you're asking me a question, I can't hear you.
It'll be a generic kind of question that you'll be able to answer. On the areas that ask about cyberbullying, every time it asked in certain areas, it kept saying no data. But then it would give other data based on like for example, there was making other types of questions. So my like anti-bullying climate was like at a 70%, but then the one right for grade 5, cyberbullying, there was no data, but anti-bullying climate was at a 70%. So my question was with the no data, was it because it wasn't asked or that no one put an answer, no one gave that as a response, so there was no data?
Okay, so I apologize. I heard some of it, so I'm going to you're saying that there is no data for cyberbullying. That is because the California Healthy Kids Survey did not survey it. They did survey this the previous year, so that's why we stated no data. So we couldn't compare
Okay, that's
it
what I
from
was,
the previous
that's what I was
year.
trying to find out.
Yeah.
Why did it say no data?
So is there another question?
I do.
Okay, so apologize.
I do. You can answer questions on this? Or you?
It's really just a report. But if you
Okay.
have a question.
Well,
Ask your question, and
okay.
if she can answer it, she will. If she can't, she can defer.
Okay, so on page 8, under building relationships, well, first of all, so was this report done, this reflection done in collaboration, or was this a single person?
This was in collaboration with principals and directors, and it was a survey that was given. It looked exactly like this, so they could give feedback on what, and then I took the data for the ones where you see, for example, where you could give a 1, 2, 3, or 4, we took the average.
So, so then on page 8, about building relationships, because it's either exploration, beginning, initial, or full and sustainable. So how do you quantify some of these things when you're talking about building relationships and things like that?
So you're asking me a question on page 8, and you're asking me how I quantify which one?
Well, so under building relationships, rate the LEA's progress in developing the capacity of staff to build trusting and respectful relationships with families. How do you quantify it? How do you get to initial implementation? I mean, it just doesn't seem to really fit, really, to me. I mean, I would think that that happens all the time.
I would just say it depends if it's attached to a certain initiative, because some things that we're building as new initiatives are in inception and some are more mature than others, but that's the only explanation I can give for why it would be different.
And for example, some school sites may feel like they do more than other school sites. Maybe they interact differently. And then we, in our department, we interact with parents in the community differently. And I know personally that I need to work directly with school sites, for the example with the LCAP, because we don't get as much turnout. So my perspective will be a lot different than the relationships that get built from the parents with the principals and the teachers.
So who is this for?
Who's answering this?
This document, who is it for?
This document is for the, when you mean by who is it
Who
for?
needs to who's using it? I'm not answering it, but
Okay.
What are we going to do with this information?
We're going to take this information and we're going to put it on the California dashboard in October when it opens up.
Okay, so when we're saying that, let me go back to my original question then. Page 8. So, building trust and respectful relationships with families, I still don't see how you can quantify that in this rating scale.
And I mean, I agree with you. The template does come from the Department of Education, and so we're going by this template. And it may be something that we need to all revisit and talk about how we can quantify it, because it seems like it's a qualitative question, but you want a quantitative response.
Because how do you measure it? Right, so I mean.
Or how was it measured?
Yeah,
How did they get
right.
the 3?
Yeah,
How did
exactly.
they get the 4?
That's what I'm trying to get at. It's like, okay, so how did we get the information that we do have and the numbers that we do have?
So who fills in that box?
Because there's the welcoming environments for all families and community is the next one. The first one for building trust and respectful relationships is a 3, and then you go to welcoming environments, that's a 4, and then learn about each other's family strengths, cultures, that's a 3. So it's just, it doesn't seem very consistent. I don't know if I'm misreading this, so that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, well, I don't think consistency, we're trying to understand, and maybe it's a little confusing because in column 3 where it says 3, we put 3. Or we could have put an X.
Right, well, yeah, but I mean, still.
So how did we arrive at these conclusions?
Right.
And what was the basis for that?
Right.
So there's a verb there that says rate. Who, which did the rating, and how did they decide to do the rating?
So if I can just give a little bit of background. In any of these type of templates at the state level, they expect the district to speak on behalf of the district. So someone in the instructional support services took the lead on gathering information through collaborative effort, whether it's through the principals, through data that we have on how many parents attend meetings when we send out for meetings, how many engage in surveys. If we get 10% back from of our parents that answer survey, it's a sign. It's an information that we can have. So multiple factors throughout the year, and as we recovered from COVID, had impacted the fact that we would rate ourselves, and we might be hard on ourselves in some of these ratings, but we are actually, in my opinion, this is a representative of what's going on in the district, because in some schools they were able to connect back with partners or parents or committees to get them back on track. Others, and maybe at a different level, secondary versus elementary, are not able to do that yet. So you get several different answers, and the compilation of that is what's represented here. Relationships are always going to be qualitative, but there is data and metrics that you can measure. We're going to have to come up with some way to quantify it, because it needs to be compared from one district to another or throughout the state. And so there's going to be measurement of LCAP advisory group and how many attend, and from how many attend, how many are elementary parents and how many are secondary parents. If we do another function, an assembly, how many of our parents attend. So all of these will have to be measured in a way that gives us an idea whether we're engaging the community or our parents are so distant and they don't get involved in the kids' education. And that's something that we're fine-tuning. We're not there yet, and the reason why I can tell you, even though I was not a participant in this process, is that we've developed the whole district information based on the same thing. As we recover, we're self-evaluating ourselves in so many different areas. One of them is the relationship, which is hard to do. So that's the only thing I can tell you, but the fact that it's being measured at the state level, the state is no longer gonna take an answer saying, oh, we're good, we have no problem connecting with parents or students, and yet the achievement information is not representative of that. And we know, and research says, involved communities, involved parents, involved students, engaged students accomplish achievement and produce results. And so they want more information so they can find why a district is not achieving if they're having really good success in building relationships, because they go hand in hand.
Okay, so I'm going to go to page 11, number 2, in the comment box. It says, second sentence, this will allow for equitable experience since most families have trusting relationships with their schools, administrators, teachers, and support staff. But we gave ourselves a 3 on page 8 because it's initial implementation. So that's where I get it. It doesn't really quite go together. And then the box, right in box number 1, another question, the very last line, with the district's new learning, the district is able to offer more ways for community input. What is this new learning?
So as far as the 3, let me just go back to that one. There is a different level of trust between the community and the site level and the leadership at the site level, because they end up building a closer relationship. But when it comes to what we've heard from parents and even from the sites, that we are not there as a district connecting with them at the same level of relationship. And so that's why it's a combination for the whole district, not just the site level. If we were to evaluate just based on site to site, it's going to be, it varies, but generally the site has a better outcome of engaging and having the trust from their neighborhood parents versus the district level. There's always a lack of trust at the district level. And that's why it's a 3. And it's something to work on, and that is something that I can tell you that we do have an improvement to do. And especially because of COVID and what we went through with their trusting, our families trusting the district level decisions as we varied on from one district to another on doing the implementation of regulations.
Okay, thank you.
Do you believe, I know the state is requiring us to do this, but do you believe you have enough data to make, you made a statement that there could be a lack of trust at the district level between parents and the district, but do you have data to show that? I mean, but besides this, a parent coming to the board.
So it's
I guess
like
that's
any-
what I'm missing here.
Yeah, so the systems are not.
I'm sorry, and it goes
Yeah.
back to the original question about how do we come up with these to give us ourselves a 3 or 4?
So right now, this is a baseline that we are coming up with it based on our own assessment of it, which is not necessarily based on systems. What we are working on as a group is putting systems in place so we can be consistent. So when I say, this is what I think about this, and even though we're saying the same exact thing, one administrator at a site level could be ranking that a 4, and I'm ranking it as a 3 because I'm harder on ourselves, right? So we're building some systems in how we are going to move forward with this to be able to be consistent, and visualizing what does it look like to have a site engaged with the community that they're serving. What does it look like that a district is engaged? And if we can define what would it look like, it's kind of like, what do we want our students to be? It's the same thing. This is what we would look at a child that's going to have, that's going to be ready for college and career, and we can define that. We can also define what would it look like if we have a district that is engaging community, because we can do it in other relationships. So for example, I know CSCA is here, and I know it's been a hard day for CSCA because of some of the concerns that came up. But how I'm gauging our relationship and the building of trust with our bargaining unit, specifically CSCA, is based on data that we build a system for this year, which is how many grievances come up to the board, how many unfair labor practices, how fast do we come to an agreement. Those are data points that you can measure the relationship between a district and their staff or employees through their bargaining unit. Similar systems can be put in place to measure the trust with the community. And so it's going to have to be something that we all agree on, that we are consistent in. So it's going to look the same from one side to another versus what we have right now. So I'm not sure if I'm answering the question in as much detail as possible, but
Well, that helps clarify some. But
I think it's the absence of the source of the ratings is what's becoming problematic. So 3 may be an average, but how is 3 arrived at? By the people or the person marking the box, I think we're just, without a basis for where the numbers come from, I think that's the uncertainty.
So I offered this same survey in a Google form and offered it, so it's just an opinion based on the feedback that I got back. I took the number of people that replied. We did not get a huge reply for this. And then I took the average and put that in the box. Now, could we get more? Absolutely. But this is based on what we believe at the district level, where we are today. In the past, only one person did this.
Okay, and we appreciate that that's a broader look at it, but this is all district staff opinion, and then it's aggregated or averaged. Okay, so I don't know, so maybe it's 20 people, and that seems to be the trend. I guess the question is still, how did those 20 people come to a conclusion to determine what's the level of trust that parents have in their school district?
And again, I'm talking from my opinion on this and what's being sent to the state, just to rate the LEA progress in creating welcoming environment for families and community. This is great getting 4, because we are definitely not 5 yet. I still have people answering the phone or not answering the phone at all from our site, and we get the the question here at the district level that says, such and such, I'm not going to say names, such and such school is not answering the call, and I can't get anybody there to answer my email, and all of that, and it gets up to the district level. That's customer service. That's the welcoming environment. Do we have someone that addresses the need of our parents when they go into the foyer of any school? That's happening, and it's happening at a 4, which is great level, right? But it's not a 5. And so if we're ranking ourselves that, I would say I would agree with it. We are definitely an average when it comes to developing capacity in all of our administrators and staff to be able to build relationships. Because I'm being just open, that we're recovering from time where people lost some of the skills to build people skills and build relationships. So we might be above what I would have ranked us if I participated in that survey, because we're working on that.
So did we get parent input on this?
No.
This is our district
This is the
view.
district level
just
view.
our own
It's
opinion
our
of
lens,
ourselves.
right.
Yeah,
Our
okay.
lens.
We could survey the
I'm
parents,
just
but
curious
that's,
if it's our own opinion of ourselves, or if it's,
Yeah,
if
so
we
we
actually have
can.
input from the stakeholders on this.
This is something new. This is the first time we're doing it,
Right.
right? Taking it to the board as a report.
this is, because CASP hasn't been available, we're bringing it back, because
After
next
COVID,
year,
right,
we
okay.
will have the 2021, 22 California dashboard. So you will get the state results based
Okay.
on the dashboard continuum, plus this information.
Okay, I appreciate all those answers. So just the last question then is, on page 11, with the district's new learning, what does that mean? It's in box number 1,
The last page,
page 11,
page 11, okay.
seeking input for decision-making dashboard narrative boxes. It's
So
bottom
the
of
learning was from the Thought Exchange, Google Forms, educational partners, school site councils. We probably could have even added when we had the new input of FACE, the family, and
But it says with the district's new learning, that, on the last sentence there.
the learning is from the previous, we learned based on the input that we got from the Thought Exchange, and we only get so many characters, let me be clear. So you can't go over those characters.
Okay.
So the learning is not in the school, it's what the district learned from doing this procedure.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Blasey.
You're welcome.
So we'll close this public hearing at 7:23 and move on to approval of the 2022 Local Control and Accountability Plan. Well, you were able to enjoy your rest momentarily?
I'm getting cardio in. So I did want to point out that you do have the budget overview for parents. I do wish that it was something that was easier to read, but it is a template from the state. And I wanted to point out on page 3 that there is a correction. It previously did state, there at the very top you have the LCFF gives school districts, that's that paragraph. Then you have page 3, by the way. It's got 2 bar graphs on it. And below that bar graph, you then have an outline with blue information. And again, this is the document that you have in front of you because there's a correction, not the one that's on the PDF on the screen. And then the next statement,
I'm sorry,
which is
I was looking and I didn't reconcile the screen with the pages in front of me. So what should we be looking at?
you're looking at the PDF that you have that's in your hand.
Okay, with the
Apologize for
bar
that.
graph.
Yes, so the only information that we needed to state was, again, I'll point it out to you, that in this paragraph here, which is the statement from the state, it takes the data, and then right below it, this is the correction. It only needed to say what we were not going, what was not in the LCAP. So I want to read to you that it states, "The budget expenditures that are not included in the LCAP will be used for the following." We only needed to state what we weren't going to do, or what we were going to do that aren't included in the LCAP, which are operational costs, personnel, certificated staff, classified staff, principals, special education, transportation, state and federal funding sources that are not related to the LCAP goals, actions, and services that are not included in the Beaumont Unified School District LCAP. So that's the correction. We only needed to state that. We had too much information.
Do we have a motion to adopt the local control and accountability plan?
I so move.
Discussion?
Just, what if anything, was changed from the last board meeting and comments when we did this?
Yes, and I can specifically tell you that I believe one of your questions, or Board Member Laura's, was the data. Was the one, we had the 2020-21 data and then the 21-22 data. I specifically put at the very top of the goal, there is a place where I explained why we had the 2021-22 data and the 2020-21 data, so that the public would understand why it was there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, I'm just going to slow down long enough for you to sit down before you have to get up again. We have a motion and a second to adopt the LCAP. Any further discussion? Then we'll proceed to vote. The motion was unanimously approved. So moving on to item 11.5, adopt the resolution 2021-22-24 regarding the commitment of funds to the general fund ending balance. Is there a motion to adopt that resolution?
I'll move to adopt that resolution.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion or questions? Then we'll proceed to vote. And the motion is approved, and the resolution is adopted unanimously. 11.6, adopt the 2022-23 budget, knowing that the state hasn't passed its budget yet, and so we're likely to see, take another look at this some 45 days from now.
Second.
The budget is approved unanimously. And it does seem as though there's some work to do between the governor's office and the legislature over some rather significant items, including transportation issues. And so they've got their work in front of them, but because the legislature will not get paid if they don't approve a budget by June 15th, there will be a budget approved by June 15th, and then they'll probably continue to negotiate with the governor's office, who has till July 1st to adopt a budget. But that's still better than those years before when we could get a budget in September and October and so forth. So that's good. That was 11.6. 11.7, adopt resolution 21-22-45 for the spending determination of the 2022-23 Education Protection Fund, account fund, the EPA. And that's from Prop 30 a number of years ago.
I'll move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? Motion to adopt the resolution is approved unanimously. For the Education Protection Account funds. 11.8, approve the COVID-19 safe return to in-person instruction and continuity of services plan update.
I'll move approval.
I'll second.
Are there any questions or discussion?
I was going to ask a question, and it might be just way too much. I looked at, of course, read it, and it was really good. But I was wondering, is anyone is thinking about doing a map, like where someone can look at it easily? If then you do this, or if this is the answer, you know what I'm saying?
Like a flip chart?
Like,
We have that.
With
Our
this?
staff have developed
Okay.
that before. Do you want to comment on that?
We did have a flow chart that was included in it, but with all of the changes that have taken place, it's kind of gone out the door or the window.
Only because,
So
you know,
the-
it's so much easier as a parent or even employee to look at it, okay, this is the situation, if this, then this, then that, okay, all right, I'm following it. Because it makes, because I read it all and I'm like, holy guac, I'd have to go back here, and I just thought to myself, it would make it smoother for
Yes.
people, but I know that's asking a lot, so I was just gonna ask the question, hey,
Just because of all the different changes and the criteria, so now, at one time, it was differentiated if you were vaccinated, not vaccinated, that's gone. So it's regardless of your vaccination status, regardless of whether or not you've had COVID in the past, they're going just off symptoms. So if you have symptoms, you're staying home. Once you have the symptoms, then you have to test. Before, when COVID first came out, you had to be out for 14 days if you had a positive test. They've brought that down, now it's down to 10 days. But you can return after day 5 if you test negative on or after day 5. So the chart that was one page now has become 20 pages long with all the differentiations. So we found it best if the parents just contacted their site and their
ask the
site
question.
would direct them to our COVID response team.
I knew you guys would have the correct response to it, I was just reading it thinking, oh my God.
And I think
as
our
we-
staff do have that
Yeah.
internally.
As we prepare for students coming back, and we'll have a clearer idea where we are with AB 1.12.1.
You remember that?
Then, to whatever extent we can put it in something visual and a decision tree will be helpful.
Yes, we'll watch for decision trees. I'm sure Orange County Public Health has come out with some really great decision trees that we've used in the past, so we'll probably be looking to them for something like that.
Thank you.
That's it.
So we'll vote on the plan, the current version of the plan. Aren't we all glad we have word processing now? Having to do carbon copies every time you change this? The safety plan, return to in-person instruction safety plan is approved with 5 yes votes. And so moving on to item 11.9, a motion regarding adopting Resolution 2021-22-48, ordering the Consolidated Governing Board member biennial election, specifications of the election order, and request for consolidation.
I'll move approval.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? Okay, well, today is an election day, and then this is setting up the next election day, November 8th. Motion is approved, 5 yes votes. Okay, instruction and support services. We have about 1 million pages of SIPSAs, school plans for student achievement, which we've seen sort of preliminary reports before, and now they have data. Does the board have any questions or comments? Mrs. Lara?
Ms. Jarrett? Is there a timeline on this? Is there a deadline we're trying to meet?
Dr. Barnett or any of the Bs?
There is no timeline according to the state, if that's what you're, is that what you're
Okay,
asking?
well, here's the reason for my question. Then I would ask that we would put this on the next agenda, only because of the formatting issues for the documents. There's words missing in the columns, so it's not clear what all the information is exactly for. So if we could just open up one, say, Anaha's Elementary, and take a look at that so I can show you what I mean. And we will go down to where.
As we are opening the pages, I know Mrs. Lara asked if there's any time sensitivity, but let's look at it from a different way. If it doesn't get approved, what obstacle does it put in your way or the sites?
So I'm going to infer or imply that leadership will probably be on vacation and they will want to start implementing in the fall when they get back. If the actions and goals are visible, that's typically the focus. But if there's data that are missing, is
Okay.
what you're saying.
Let me tell you what I'm looking at, so you understand. On page 11, so your, so right across the top in those tables, right there. So you have the number of students enrolled, number of students tested, number of students with. So we don't know what the number of students with. And then the next table down, it says mean score, scale score, and then it's percent standard, standard met nearly, and then standard not. So, and it's like this in every single one of them.
Okay, so it's a
And-
DT, okay, it's a document tracking system, I see.
So, and the reason that I'm wanted to pause is because if there are parents out there that are reading this, they have no idea what this is. We could get a clarification for us tonight, but if there are people that are reading this and they want to know what this is, they don't know what it is. So, I just, yeah, I would just rather continue it or whatever the wishes of the board.
I would agree with that.
So what is it that you want changed? Is it
It should
the
say
lack of
students.
clarity of the headers?
Yes.
So for example, I see what you're saying. It should say standard exceeded, standard met, standard nearly met, standard not met. That's what you're saying.
Yes.
Yeah, I see it.
And above that, though, too, the number of
So
students
you have control
with
over,
something.
for example, the number of students with, and it's supposed to be with scores. You have,
I will have to go through the template, the doc tracking system, the company, and make sure that I don't have control over fixing that. I have to get it.
so who controls that company?
I'm going to work with them to get it corrected. That's what
Now,
yeah.
we're looking at a template issue, but the data that the sites have already inputted, that was done in-house. So we can still approve this with the recommendation to DTS to fix their template.
Absolutely.
Because that won't change the data itself.
No.
Okay.
But my concern is the people that are reading it don't know what they're reading on some of these because those aren't incomplete. That's what I'm getting at.
So what, is it, again, is it the headings that are not complete, or is there something else that's not complete, Mrs. Lara?
There's words missing in the headings.
Well, there's no scores for third, fourth, and fifth grade for the 2020-21 school year. And that's why it's left blank.
I understand that. That has nothing to do with that.
I thought that's what.
No, I'm talking about the headers up there that says, what is that data related to? What is it for? So, percent standard, and then
Have it fixed.
number of students with. So if I'm a parent reading this at home, what does this even mean? Number of students with.
I know, but if you're looking at it, yeah, I can understand what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'm getting at. It just, for transparency and all those things for the public, I don't think we should approve this if it is not clear. I'll be quiet.
Well, maybe we could do it as a directive that it gets fixed.
Yeah, I think we should approve it and then have, before it's released,
But we're approving something that somebody assumes that we know exactly what that is. Did you know what it was when you read it?
First intent, yes.
I kind of did. I assumed when I
I-
read it.
Not me. Number of students with, I don't know what that is.
Well, that one I didn't quite know, but I knew the standard not.
What
Okay,
about-
if there's no urgency for us to pass it tonight, we have additional board meetings before August. And my sense is that we don't want to approve something that we're not comfortable with sharing. So if that's what the board's wish is, then I would request a motion to postpone this agenda item until our next meeting, and ask staff to carefully scrutinize this as if you were a parent, and what would you want to see so that it's more clear to you.
I would motion that we can continue or put it on the next agenda, but I see all the principals out there, and I just do want to say that I do appreciate.
Okay, just make your motion.
Okay, that's my
And then if you want to
motion.
make a comment, then
Okay.
make the comment after you make your motion.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, now is there any conversation?
So I just want to thank the principals for all your hard work on these, and this is not anything that you guys did or didn't do. It's just a formatting issue. That's the only reason that I wanted to pull this.
And I would just add that not only, I appreciate the comment about looking at it from a point of view of a parent looking at it, but we're a professional, we're an educational organization. So what any professional who's looking at something should be, to the best of our ability, clear and complete.
Thank you, Dr. Blasey.
You're welcome.
We get something from Sacramento and they say, fill this in, and we do the best we can with the information. And we're asking for Beaumont to take a step further so that it serves the purpose that it was intended for, even if the state couldn't figure it out.
So do we have to vote on this now? Since we have a motion?
We're voting on postponing this item until our next regular board meeting. You have that right in there? Okay. Yes, I already have it. Okay, you're awesome. Thank you. We're voting, the vote that is here is to postpone the item. Okay, by a 5-0 vote, this item is going to come back at our next regularly scheduled meeting with the Beaumont version of how to explain the student plans for student achievement.
Can I also say one other thing? Do we need to have the principals come back for that one? Because you did come for tonight for any questions that we might have. So.
Absolutely, they will be back, because I'm not taking a chance on having a question that we will.
I tried.
Yes. Sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah, there should be, well, I won't interfere with the superintendent's directive, but certainly someone from the campus leadership who can respond. If you have a pre-planned trip with expenditures already committed, understand that, but we would want someone from the school who would be able to respond knowledgeably. Item 12.2, receive a presentation on implementing the Universal Transitional Kindergarten, or UTK, plan. Dr. Barnett.
Good evening, friends. Thanks for having me here to talk about the Universal Transitional Kindergarten program that we're putting together for Beaumont Unified. Very excited about it. It's a neat opportunity. All of our work is aligned to our mission statement. Specifically, we want to create high-quality educational opportunities for all of our students. And we also focus in on our LCAP goals. Specifically, we want to have that rigorous and relevant standards-aligned curriculum. And I've learned so much about TK, and that standards-aligned curriculum for TK is dramatically different from the other academic standards we've got. So we had input meetings from teachers and parents and from leadership to find out about their interests and also give information about the Universal TK program. And we also reviewed all of the schools that are offering TK, which are all of our schools that offer a K through 5 program, and we're excited about expanding the DLI program back to Palm Innovation Academy for the 22-23 school year, and we will have a full-day TK program for DLI there. We also are really cognizant of the changes in TK that are coming up. You know, as you know previously, we would allow students to enter TK if they were turned 5 between September 2nd and December 2nd, and by 25-26, we will allow students that turn 4 by September 1st, 2025, to enter in years coming on. So it'll expand the program quite a lot for those students in our district, and that's a big change for us. In addition to that, the class size requirements are something we want to keep in mind. We're excited about those ratios and keeping those class sizes manageable for all of our TK teachers. And to meet also the student-to-adult ratios, we're going to be looking at adding instructional aids to help the teachers work with those students. We had a lot of parents interested in full-day TK, which was an exciting thing. We have a lot of opportunities to influence and support our students as they're growing and developing. And we also, one of the features of the program for Universal TK is to offer a 9-hour program where parents can have their students come to our schools, and they have a great extended learning program outside of school hours and a terrific program during the day. And we have the Boys and Girls Club that provides before and after school care at the following schools, and we're looking to expand that to other schools as the need and the desire of parents grows with us. And interestingly, for TK, most of our parents want to pick up their students at the regular release time, so that was kind of a neat thing. But we do have a number of parents that are interested in having extended learning programs. And I thank you so much for listening to the presentation. We're excited about the TK program. Lots of neat things coming up for that.
I have a question.
Ask it.
May I?
Go ahead, Mrs. Lara.
May I? Okay, in your document, okay, on page, just a clarification, on
Sure.
page 10, do you have it?
I don't have the copy with me.
Okay, well, it says TK teachers' assistants, by 22-23, you're gonna have 15 of them? And you're gonna have
Yes.
24, so you're gonna have this one per student?
We're going to have we'll have 15 across the district, so we're expecting to have 15 TK classes.
Okay, because I'm,
Right. and
I
then-
see what it is,
yeah,
okay.
And they'll have one.
Okay, I just didn't, okay, I misread that, so
No,
sorry.
That's a great question. Yeah, and it's because we're expecting that we'll have that full, well, and you have to have the 12 to 1, so we're expecting that we'll have that full 24.
Okay, I misread that,
Yeah,
my
sure.
apologies.
Quick question on
Sure.
slide 7.
Yes.
For 23-24, if legislation is approved for dollars, when we look at a 1 to 10 ratio, are we going to assume 3 adults, or is the district looking at 2 adults?
That's the interesting rub with that, is that although the max class size is 24, but but the max ratio of adults to students is 1 to 10. So yeah, if we had a class at 24, we'd have to have 3 adults in that classroom. So that's something we're looking at for budgetary purposes and for how to support those classes well. Great question.
Okay, thank you. I appreciated the report. I found it very informative. It's been a long time since I was 4 or 5, and I'm excited about what the district's planning to do. I did have one proofreading item. I believe it was page 13, and this
Sure.
is on behalf of Assistant Superintendent Castillo.
Yes.
When we make an abbreviation for assistant,
Yes.
if we use the 4-letter abbreviation instead of just the first 3 letters.
I will do that because that is a challenge, and we have assistants and not donkeys generally.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. Any other questions?
No.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Okay, the Expanded Learning Opportunities Program. We have a oh, well, you got to sit down as long as Dr. Blasey.
I'm doing my best
interpretation of Dr. Brown. I am a Dr. B, though, which you have to be in order to be in our department.
Right.
We let Ms. Toledo work with us, too. Thank you. So we're excited about our Expanded Learning Opportunities program. That we're planning for next school year and beyond. And there's an intersection with our TK program that is happening. But the big thing that we're looking at is for our unduplicated pupils, we need to provide that full 9-hour program for all of them, K through 5 and K through 6 in the coming year. So we're looking at ways to expand that program to support that. And again, that 9-hour program. And in addition to the 9-hour program during the regular school days, having the 30 days of expanded learning opportunities as an option for parents that are interested in that program. And we're looking at also our collaboration with our community-based organization, which is the Boys and Girls Club for expanded learning. So we're looking at how do we use our ACES program that's already existing to provide those services, and then also Boys and Girls Club as a collaboration partner. And we have a number of different facets of the plan that we have to keep in mind. So specifically, we want to have a safe and supportive environment, and we plan to offer that at all of our schools. And we want to have active and engaged learning. So it's not just babysitting. And sometimes folks are like, well, you're just watching kids. But this actually is a real enrichment program. And really, the idea is expanded learning, not just supervision and childcare. And we want to make sure also with that, in item 3, that we are building skills and having real-world applications. And that's why we want to make sure we're using our Be Ready Beaumont program and materials that are going to go along with that as part of our program. For our youth voice and leadership, we plan to be working with Rotary clubs and with the opportunity to have students the opportunity to participate in the Early Act program as a part of that, our Rotary work. And then also, we want to have healthy choices for students to expand their fitness both mentally and physically. And make sure that, for item 6, make sure that all of our students know that they're welcome and we have a program that's supportive for them. We plan to also have high-quality staff, and everybody from our leadership to our aides are going to be high quality and be able to support that program that's in there that we're providing for our students. And we want to make sure, again, that we are aligned with our mission for our district. We want to make sure those are high-quality opportunities for all of our students. One thing I think is really exciting is our opportunities for connecting with the community with those collaborative partnerships and looking at, for number 10, how we can plan not only to have a strong start to the program, but to continue to develop and innovate the program and make it better as we go along. And lastly, we're excited to bring on Mr. Griffin to be our Director of Expanded Learning, and we'll have instructional coaches to support the program, as well as site teachers and instructional aides. So lots of really great opportunities for this, for the program. I'm specifically interested, because I've been working on the TK program, about how that's going to really meet the needs of parents, and I think that's exciting. I have a 5-year-old son, and I know how important it is to have a program that is not only, is educational, but not only just supervision for that. So we're excited about offering those things too. And any questions about the ELOP program and our expanded learning opportunities?
Okay, seeing no questions, do I have a motion to approve the Expanded Learning Opportunities Program Plan? Please, can I have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, and then we'll vote to adopt the plan.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We don't pronounce it elope, right? Off they go.
My computer's getting everything like delayed. It's not just me?
The motion is approved with 5 yes votes. Moving on to the Human Resources section. We have a request to approve an extension to the temporary increase of the certificated substitute salary schedule to the end of December.
I'll move for approval. I'll second.
Any discussion? We'll vote on the motion. The motion is approved, 5 yes votes. Item 13.2, approve a new job description for the position of physical therapist. Mrs. Kakish or Mrs. Castillo?
I'd like to refer to Mrs. Castillo to mention the revision that we would like to add and ask you to approve as amended.
I would like to make two modifications on the second page. Under education, move the bachelor's degree with coursework in physical therapy to the top. And then it would be followed by graduation from an accredited program in physical therapy, and then followed by master's degree with coursework. And then the second modification would be under knowledge and skills. It is the 8th bullet down where it says IEP software programs. We'd like to add or file documentation programs.
Are those recommendations clear to the board? We have a motion to adopt the physical therapist job description as amended.
I'll move approval.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion about the job description?
Thank you.
I just don't see bullets as having priority, so, and after we approve this, if you wanted to move any of the bullets around, I personally would not, structurally, it wouldn't be significant.
Okay, you don't need to comment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we voting?
We're voting. The motion is approved. The job description as amended is approved. And I would agree with Mr. Sanchez that unless formatting has significance, substantive significance, I don't think we need to get into that. 13.3, approve memorandums of understanding between the Beaumont Unified School District and the Beaumont Teachers Association regarding the all-day kindergarten program and the early bird, late bird transitional kindergarten TKK program for the 22-23 school year.
I'll move approval.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion about the MOUs? And we'll vote. The motion is adopted unanimously. 13.4, approve a memorandum of understanding with the Beaumont Teachers Association for President's Release Time for the 22-23 school year. Is there a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? Okay, then we'll vote on this item. The motion is approved, 5 yes votes. 13.5, approve a tentative agreement between the Beaumont Teachers Beaumont Unified School District and the Beaumont Teachers Association regarding a tentative agreement for the 22-25 collective bargaining agreement.
I'll move approval.
I'll second.
Any discussion about the agreement? Okay, then we'll vote. Motion's unanimously approved, and we congratulate both teams for the hard work it takes to come to an agreement that works for both our certificated bargaining unit members and for the district. So thank you, Mrs. Castillo, and to the BTA team. Item 13.6, a memorandum between the Beaumont Unified School District and the California School Employees Association and its Chapter 351 regarding an extension to the classified work calendar and training for campus security positions.
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to adopt, to approve the memorandum of understanding. Is there any question or comment? In the vote? The motion is approved unanimously, and the MOU is adopted. 13.7, approve a memorandum of understanding between the Beaumont Unified School District and California School Employees and its association and its Chapter 351 regarding a bus driver training program. Is there a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, is there discussion about this item, which is not the same as the item addressed during public testimony? Okay, then we'll proceed to the vote. The motion is approved unanimously, and the MOU is adopted. 13.8, approve the certificated personnel assignment order listed on the report dated June 7th, 2022.
I'll move approval.
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion?
Just real quick, I noticed Allison Shrive is resigning, and it's a loss for Beaumont, but I think it's great for her. I'm really happy for her, but she's been a great member of our staff, so I wish her luck.
Thank you, Mr. Mitchell. The vote? Five yes votes. The certificated PAO is approved. 13.9, the classified personnel assignment order.
I'll move for approval.
I'll second.
Okay. Is there any discussion? Okay. Then we'll vote on approving the classified PAO. And it is approved unanimously. That concludes the action items. So reports, is there anyone here from CSEA Chapter 351 wishes to speak? Well, welcome back. We haven't seen you for a while.
Yeah, it's been a minute. It really has. And being up here now, I know why. I really don't like being up here, but you know, being an advocate for our classified employees, I'm always willing to speak up on their behalf. But when it comes to public speaking, I always take a pass on that. But no, honestly, I appreciate the opportunity you guys give CSCA to speak on behalf of our classified employees. So, I haven't wrote stuff down here. I put on a board report because if I come up here and just try to talk, there's no saying what I'm going to say. So I'm going to kind of refer to this.
That's sort of like us.
Yeah. But thank you guys, board members and Superintendent Mace-Kakish and cabinet members for the opportunity to speak on behalf of classified employees. Man, a lot has happened this year, and since the last time I've been here speaking to you guys, a lot of good things have happened. We've gotten a lot of business done. We moved forward in a lot of ways. Relationship with the district and CSCA has grown tremendously. A lot of that just has to do because collaboration, you know, having meetings, hearing each other what everyone has to say. And most relationships, no matter if it's just a personal relationship or with a group or a company organization, if you want to build a relationship with them, you take the time to listen to them, see what they have to say, understand where they're coming from, and you know how to move forward. And that's what we did this year. We did a lot of that, and that has to do with a lot of good leadership, and it's shown, and we've reported that when our chapter meetings. A lot of people have seen that too and come back and express what a lot of progress that we made this year. But I'm going to go back to what I printed out, and kind of go through it. And when I was sitting there hearing all the transportation people talk, about the transportation reorg and hearing the HIA speak, April Morris speak out about issues going on in the SPED department, I had a lot to say in my head, and hopefully it comes out when I'm reading this stuff, because I'd like to comment on it as well. But as chapter president and chair of the negotiation committee, I can honestly say that we've had a successful year. I'm not saying that because everything went as planned, or that classified got everything they wanted, or that we were able to negotiate every issue or concerns, but I'm able to say that because for the first time in 4 years of being on the negotiation team, I was part of a productive negotiation table. A table that had both parties actively participating in good faith negotiations. Together, the district and CSEA were able to accomplish a lot of business. We agreed upon many MOUs, and most importantly, our 2021-2022 successor. And so I'd like to thank the board for supporting the district and CSEA in all our tentative agreements. Going forward with, because we talked about negotiations right there, transportation department, we heard a lot of them speak up tonight. Primarily, we heard the bus drivers, but I did see our dispatchers there and some other members of transportation that joined them as well. And that was good to see, them coming together and uniting together to speak on their concerns and issues. That's what part of being, whether you're a union or not, but if you unite, you're more powerful together, you can make things happen, and that was great to hear them come out together and speak on their behalf. Now, being part of a union, it's always come with perks. And one of the biggest perks of being a union has always been seniority. And for decades, as far as I could look back in history, having seniority in the union has always been something of value, something to hold on to. Being rewarded for your long-term commitment, for your service, and being loyal, at the place that you work. But here in Beaumont Unified, I personally have heard and seen seniority being downplayed in many occasions here at the district. And this has gotten back to members. A lot of members have reached out to me on that concern specifically. What does seniority do for us? How does that come into play when it comes to hiring practices? And so we've expressed to them what we're up against, the conversations we have with the district, and this has really stirred many of our members up, which you have, you guys heard tonight with transportation. But with that, many of them are asking us to bring that back, try to get seniority back for us, try to get seniority to hold the value, place value it held once before in the union. And so that is definitely going to be one of our goals. And in Article 9, with the transportation, which is they all spoke on tonight, is specifically written for bus drivers. And this is where seniority was being removed. That was just one of the examples given. Seniority bidding is a practice that has always been taking place, not only with school districts, but with many organizations involved in transportation or delivery services, both unionized and non-unionized. They've always taken seniority into effect. Seniority person always gets the first pick on the routes that are already formulated, put together for different reasons. You heard the bus drivers speak on why they would like to have seniority bidding to be part of Article 9. So tonight I would just ask the school board and cabinet members to take the concerns and petitions that you heard from the bus drivers at heart. Let's see, I'm gonna go back over here. All right, one other thing I wanted to comment on was that this school year, as far as the last 3 school years have been one for the books. We've had, each school year in the last 3 years have uniquely had its own challenges, stuff we've had to work with the district to go through these challenges and to make things work, to make it a successful year still. One of the challenges we've had this year was obviously bringing students back to in-person learning. and having to work with all the state regulations and all the local regulations on COVID-19, these efforts were made to keep both students and employees safe and our community safe. However, they came along with a lot of controversy, which a lot of meetings here you guys had to deal with, all the comments and all the controversy on both pros and the negative effects of it. And with CSEA dealing with a lot of classified employees, we heard both sides. It was equally split. Some wanted the regulations, some wanted them to be effective in a more stronger way, and others wanted them totally, completely removed. And so we were kind of torn both ways constantly, and there was challenges that we had this year. Another challenge was shortage in labor. That was nationwide. That wasn't just here in Beaumont, but many departments were affected tremendously. HIAs were one of them. They didn't have the labor. They didn't have the support they needed by actual classified employees working those. And we could actually, sometimes we filled them with bodies, but they were lacking the trained personnel to assist them to give them the support they needed in that SPED department especially. What else we got here? Yeah, some departments, even our custodial suffered hard. They were lacking a lot of support in custodial services, which, directly affected the teachers, affected the students, and these were issues that we had to work with this year. We worked good with the, HR department, trying to figure out how we could recruit, how we could retain. One of the biggest things that we accomplished this year was getting that salary schedule reconstructed, adjusted, and raised at 8%. That was huge. However, we're still lacking because we're still in competition in that pay salary range with other businesses here in Beaumont. And I guess we'll always be there. However, when someone can work at a fast food place and make more money than they can in entry level here at the school district, they're going to take that, especially with today's economy, because they need the money now in their pockets with the inflation the way it is. And some of these employees that take on these positions that are typically at a younger age, and so they're not looking at the longevity and the retirement plans that we have to offer, but they're looking more at that hourly. And so we've been in a competition with that for a while, and all school year we've seen the effects of that. But all in all, we pushed through these issues. Like I mentioned before, all in all, I can say it was a successful year. We made it through these challenges. We still went through, we had promotions. We had fifth graders promoting to middle school, and we had middle schoolers promoting to high school. And we had high school seniors graduating from high school this year. And to me, that's successful. If we can still provide the services for our students, despite all these challenges that we faced this year, I consider that all a success. But I would like to, once again, just thank the school board for your support this year. Looking forward to next year and actually working hard this summer, because there are still departments, like we heard earlier with the SPED department, there's still a lot of concerns we got to bring up. The campus security is another one that we got to work hard at, because there's a lot of issues going up primarily at the high school and at the middle schools, where we got to reconstruct those programs. We got to offer them more support to attract and retain them. Same in our maintenance department with our custodials. We need that type of work being filled, those vacancies being filled, because our students need that support. It's not direct learning education, but no one likes to go into a dirty restroom. No one likes to go into a classroom where there's trash in there from days before. And it makes a big difference on how the students look when they come to school, and their outlook in the morning and what they got to look forward to. So with that, I got nothing else, and thank you all for allowing us to be here, speaking on behalf of Classified, and have a good evening.
Well, thank you. For someone who said he doesn't like public speaking, or You were very articulate and very clear about your message to us. Appreciate it. Also appreciate the improved working relationship that you described. And I appreciate that your final comments were about what we did for students this year together. So thank you. Beaumont Teachers Association. Okay, must be feeding time at the Morehouse. They must have found some formula someplace. Off the ships. Yeah. Back me.
All right, good evening, President Hovey, Superintendent, Ms. Kakish, and school board members. Congratulations, just had to congratulate, I think we already did, but our new APs are already hard at work. Tiffany Sines and Lauren Gaspar. Congratulations to Joel. So Serenity, he'll need a back brace. So I can give you that right now because he's going to go with our little ones. But he'll do a great job, we know that. And our back me team will be collaborating this Thursday after the leadership team meeting, and we're looking forward to planning for next year. And it's been a long but rewarding year for our members. We look forward to a strong start for next year, and we hope everyone will have a much-needed break. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, back me. Thank you, Mrs. Beitler. Mrs. Lara?
No comment.
Mr. Mitchell?
No comment.
Mrs. Poulter?
I have comment. I was concerned about the individuals that spoke about what's happening in summer school. So I'd like to see that we're giving them support of whatever is happening at summer school, so that safety and everything that's going on, that they have support of what to do and how to handle the situation, because that's concerning. And I know sometimes because of the lack of having bodies sometimes for hiring, but we need to give some more support if all of that's going on, because I know being dropped into it and not giving like a distinct plan of what you do with this or this, so that at least they can get some support in that way. I would like to see something happen. I know I'm just one person, but I think that's important, so that gives them some tools to work with it as soon as we can.
I agree.
And I also wanted to bring up, the safety issue that was brought up by the parents. I know that we have, and we go over it all the time, the safety plans and but making sure that the schools and everyone at the school is practicing for safety by the drills, and because I hope never do we have to use one of those drills, but being prepared. And it seems like those are some of the things that we used to, by the state, have to do fire drills once a month, but I don't know if that's still a requirement, and I'm not sure what kind of safety drills we still do all the time. But incorporating all of those to more, not that I like that they become second nature, but we have to do something to support our families and our students and our staff. And I'm not quite sure if I understand all of the issues with transportation. I can't. Well, one of those discussions was talking about it, was that with transportation, if someone didn't want to do a field trip that was overnight or late into the night, they don't have the right to say no. I was so can we get a report? I'd like to have a report on what's happening with transportation. I know some part of what was stated, but maybe more of, because some of those issues I'm not sure, really, just to understand it better. If that makes sense. And I want to say that I hope everyone has a restful summer and coming back fresh for those people who are taking a break. And I am excited about the new year, and I'm proud of the past year. And with that, I will end.
Thank you, Mrs. Poulter. Mr. Sanchez.
I have a little list. And I'm going to start off with transportation because that's what Ms. Poulter ended with. With transportation, the message was a little confusing that the bus drivers were coming up speaking about. I wasn't sure if it was seniority or experience, because you could have experience in mountain driving from another district, but then have no seniority in our district, but have the experience in it. And someone who has more seniority but no background in mountain driving would get the position. Again, the message was unclear there for me, so if that could be looked into. The other item was with, as Ms. Poulter also brought up with sped ed staff, question, the individual that was up here speaking at the end spoke about summer school, but also said for the past year. So could we get some information if our classes are broken up by student needs, meaning mild, moderate, moderate, severe? They should be two different situations, and again, the staffing within those situations or group settings should be different. Just like the expectations of an RSP teacher versus a mod severe versus a mild moderate, and the training that goes on for each. If this was a moderate severe, I could understand if they were wearing Kevlar gloves on their hands, because I've seen that myself. That's a need, but it's not a need for an RSP teacher. So again, need more information there. It was. I couldn't see an aid for a resource teacher suddenly being thrown into a mod severe class. I don't believe we would do that in this district without substantial support. So that is a concern, and I hope it does come back. Let's see. Want to thank the technology department, James Sharp, with his lead to create a tool through Google that is a free service that's already paid for, that parents can have control over student laptops. And so he's working with Google to have that updated to our systems, and I told him I would be more than happy to be a test dummy on that one.
Yeah, now, we've also heard that the students are planning a way so they can stop the parents from having access to them.
That's part of our CTE program for innovation. Next, also wanted to let transportation know, I do hear that the people that were up here speaking about connecting with the children. For myself, kindergarten through 5th grade, I had a bus driver named Cornell Williams, and he was with me as a kid my whole time, so he was like a second set of eyes on me and the shenanigans we would pull as kids. So that I have a lot of empathy for, and that message was loud and clear on that one. I remember one time that's another story you guys don't need to hear about. On school security that the parents were here speaking about, and again, with the way things are changing, and none of us are ever going to feel 100% complete. I have seen schools in other countries where security is an issue because children get kidnapped and then are put up for ransom. Not saying we're at that situation, but the way they have it structured is that there is a school police office at the campus. The entire campus is gated, of course, and before a parent can even get on campus to go into the office, they have to go through this checkpoint where ID is collected, and you are questioned on why you're coming onto this campus with, and them, it's a police officer, with the gear behind them before you're allowed on campus. And we might be getting to that point in our nation where we need to have that type of checkpoint where you physically get out of your car, you walk through this secondary office, through security, before you move on to the campus. There is no other way. You have a gun on you, and if you're going to walk into the office, what's the principal going to do? I don't want a dead principal. I don't want a dead secretary. I don't want anyone dying there. But if we need that level, we need to start thinking like not TSA, but like TSA, that there's a screening before someone comes on campus once school is in session. Now, of course, when school's out, these huge gates open up and the kids flow out, and that's a different issue. But that's my take. And again, last was graduation ceremony. It was beautiful to have everyone in attendance and all the support from the staff too, because outside on the streets, it was good to see our own people out there volunteering or voluntold, I'm not sure which. Because that's good for the community to see us also putting a little sweat equity into the students that we serve, not just the paycheck. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sanchez. number of items. I did appreciate hearing from the bus drivers tonight. My understanding is that there was an MOU that was negotiated and it failed to be ratified by the bargaining unit. So the process is you go back to the bargaining table and see if you can come to a different agreement. That's my understanding of what the next step will be. As for security, I'm sure that our staff is anticipating the need to review all of our protocols. Just the example from Uvalde School, where the teacher left her classroom to go out and get her telephone out of her vehicle and came back in. She says she removed the rock when she was aware that there was a threat on campus and shut the door, but it didn't lock. That those kinds of, that we have procedures in place that people, if it's an exit that is supposed to be locked, it needs to be locked, and we know that it locks. If people have to go through certain, I thought we were trying to limit access through one central point and that the visitors all have to use the Raptor system. Are we following that, or are we careless about that? When students are coming on campus in the morning, do we have multiple entry points because it's convenient for where parents like to drop them off? Just if we have protocols, review the protocols, and then make sure that we're implementing the protocols, and that people don't get careless because their lunch is in the car. There needs to be some other process they can do besides going out and getting it and so forth. I mean, heaven forbid for that poor teacher who went out to get her phone. She's confident that she shut that door and that she's not responsible for what happened. But I'm sure somewhere she's wondering whether she played a role in that. And heaven forbid anyone should have to live with that concern because they did something routine. And so we can't be as routine as we used to be. It's unfortunate. We get casual because it hasn't happened here, and it had never happened in any of those other places either before it happened there. So it's not to scare everybody. It's not to put up razor wire. It's to make our campuses as secure as we can make them, and still remember that the purpose of this school is for our students, and find a way that it can be safe for them and the staff. So to me, it begins with us reviewing with what we have, improving what we need to improve, and following through and being consistent for every employee and every parent so that it doesn't happen here. And then I just want to close with the success of some of our students. I know we've had lots of success, and we have the young lady going to Juilliard this summer. We have two of our swimmers on the boys team who were all Inland Empire, all area in boys swimming and diving. On the second team, it was Jager Maddox, who was a senior, and Yaroslav Puryashev, who's a junior, who were second team all area. And though not currently with the district, I saw the name Brian Lingenfelter from Yucaipa. I suspect that's our former colleague, Mr. Lingenfelter's son. Also made the swimming All-Stars. And then again from Beaumont High School, girls Inland Empire varsity first team, Cheyenne Summers. So congratulations to those students who excelled in their athletic endeavor. So when's our next board meeting? When we'll see that report back with the headings that make sense?
We're going to clarify whether we need a site council approval or not. If it's just template issues, we could do on the 19th of July. If there's any substantive changes that needs school site approval, we will have to bring it in August.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't hearing that we were not getting the data, but it's, how is it displayed in a way that makes sense is what I think was being asked for. So, okay, with that, we will adjourn this meeting at 8:30.